When you think of video game heroes, who do you usually think of? Probably Mario, Sonic, Clown Kid. But me, I think of Tony flippin' Hawk! Garbage intros aside, the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series of games are actually some of the coolest games out there. Well, some more than others, but I'm talking about the Neversoft developed Tony Hawk games. Yeah, Neversoft, you know that developer that doesn't exist anymore? I won't go into details about how Neversoft came to develop the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games. That's what Did You Know Gaming is for. But to make a long story short, Neversoft made a game based off the movie Apocalypse and then got asked to make a skateboarding video game, so they did, and it was pretty good. So they made more, and they were all pretty dang good until some of them, but we'll get there when we get there. Then they didn't make them anymore, and got lost in the Call of Duty map pack realm, never to be seen again. Rip Neversoft. I love the Tony Hawk games, as you can probably tell, so I'm going to do an entire series talking about all the Neversoft developed Tony Hawk games, as well as a couple others I like. But let's start at the beginning with the very first Tony Hawk game, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater for the PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64. And Dreamcast, but nobody had a Dreamcast. First thing I want to talk about is the sweet Neversoft logo. I know it's short, but dude, that guitar riff is one of the coolest things ever. Of course, the one that they did in Pro Skater 2 is the better one. This one's still really good. Man, this intro, it always puts me right back to when I used to play this game as a kid. Just FMVs of skateboarders skating around to the song Police Truck by Dead Kennedys playing over it. It was and still is one of the coolest things to make for an intro of a skateboarding video game. That song will never be anything other than the main theme to Tony Hawk Pro Skater. You listen to Police Truck by Dead Kennedys, you're listening to the main theme to Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Even the menu theme plucks some nostalgia strings for me. Like, honestly, this entire game just gives you a giant nostalgia rush of just playing it when I was a kid. But alright, enough with reminiscing, let's talk about the game. The story is non-existent, as in the game is just a game for game's sake, no, like, plot or anything like that. In this game, you can play as many different professional skateboarders from that time period when this game came out. You got Tony Hawk and other people. There are a lot of different characters with varying stats, and I feel like everybody will have their favorites, but I do have one issue with the character selection. So, for those of you who don't have rad skateboard knowledge, there are two ways to stand on a skateboard. Regular, where you have your left hand in front of you, and Goofy, when you have your right hand in front of you. I like to ride Goofy, so naturally I would want to pick a character who also rides Goofy. Well, my fellow Goofy riders, I hope you like playing as Tony Hawk, because he's the only character that rides Goofy in this game. But, enough complaining about skaters. Let's just pick our character, choose which deck, truck tightness, and wheel color we want, and then pick the first of many stages. Each normal stage has 5 goals. A high score and pro score to reach, collecting 5 floating letters that spell skate, do something to 5 of a specific object, usually run into it or grind on it, and collect the secret tape that's hidden somewhere in the stage. Each time you complete a goal, you get a videotape. Get enough videotapes and you unlock a new level. There are a total of 9 stages. 6 of them are goal-based, while the other 3 are competition-based. In competition stages, you have 3 1-minute long runs where you have to get the highest score possible without falling. At the end of your 3rd run, it takes your 2 highest scores and ranks you accordingly. Some levels can only be unlocked by having medals from competitions, though the actual rank doesn't matter just as long as you get first, second, or third. Every trick you do gives you points. The more tricks you do before you land, the more points you get. If you want even more points, you can trick over what are called gaps, which are just specific spaces between objects you can jump and trick between. It'll give you a nice point bonus for your score. If you want even more points, you can do a special trick, which is done by pressing 2 directions and then a button. But every character has their own special trick. Tony Hawk's special trick, for instance, is the 360 flip to mute. You do this by pressing down, right, and square. How do you find these out? You read the manual, of course. Yeah, remember these things? This is where you found out info about a game back in the day. You even get weird little bios for the skaters too. Anyways, the game control's alright, though the movement feels a little bit clunky, and since there's no meter to show your balance while on a rail and no manual at all, this game is really hard to do combos in. But the point goals aren't as high as the other games, so I'd say it balances out. Graphically, the game still looks okay. It's got that Metal Gear Solid polygonal feel to it. It's dated, sure, but for back when it first came out, it looks pretty good. The level design is fine too. Out of all the levels, I think my favorite level is the 2nd level, which is the school. Of course, you can't forget about classics like Downtown, the mall, Downhill Jam, and of course the warehouse where it all started. And you cannot talk about Tony Hawk Pro Skater without talking about the soundtrack. I already mentioned Police Truck by Dead Kennedys, but the rest of the game has a kick-ass punk rock sound soundtrack that rocked our prepubescent minds back in the day. You got songs like Jerry Was a Race Car Driver by Primus, New Girl by Suicide Machines, Screamer / Nothing to Me by Speed Dealer, Psycho Vision by Suicidal Tendencies, and of course the song everybody remembers, Committed by Unsane. Oh, and Superman by Goldfinger. I think people like that one too. You know what? Screw that. Every time I hear Superman by Goldfinger, it literally puts me right back to when I was like a stupid little baby child playing this game and sucking hard at it. Really, the music impacts the game greatly. You could be doing a run for the 500th time trying to get that pro score, then it's like, oh shit, dude, here we go. It's gonna be a good run. Damn it! Once you beat the game, you unlock an FMV of the skateboarder you chose skateboarding, IRL. It's not much, but hey, it's a nice little thing to watch when you beat the game. Now, I know what you're thinking. What else can be unlocked in the game? You don't sound that stupid. Well, first, let me just say, in order to show the rest of the content of the game, I'm going to use a cheat code to unlock everything. Pause the game, hold L1, and press circle, right, up, down, circle, right, up, square, triangle, and then once the screen shakes, you should have everything, including FMVs, skateboards, stages, and the secret character, Officer Dick. Yeah, to unlock Officer Dick, you have to complete the game by collecting all 30 tapes in career mode with a single skater. Oddly enough, he's the most balanced out of every single character, but, you know, he's just a funny dude to play as, I guess. There's another character, too, which will replace Officer Dick, named Private Carrera. I don't know how you unlock her. It looks like you only unlock her by using cheat codes, but she's got max stats and the age is barely legal. I don't get it. And that's pretty much it. Honestly, it may not be the best Tony Hawk game, but it's got classic written all over it, and I'll gladly play it anytime. With that said, I will see you guys next time with the second Tony Hawk Pro Skater game that, to be honest, blows this first game out of the water. Yeah, see you guys next time.